What
is Spikes? Welcome back to the Spike Feeders World Headquarters. Today we've got the Bro set review. That's right, Brothers War. We're talking all about rares and mythics. You should have seen it from the title. If you didn't see it on the title, that's okay. I can talk to you instead of you reading. That's what we're here for. We're gonna get right into it today. First off, we just wanna say thanks so much. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, subscribe to the channel. If you haven't liked this video, do it right now. It's gonna be good. You know it, we know it, everybody knows it. Leave a comment when we get to your favorite card. My favorite card, it's right at the beginning. You know what it is? Do you know what it is?
I do now.
I know what it is. It's in the trenches. It's 1 white for an enchantment. Creatures you control get +1/+1. 5 and a white to exile target non-land permanent you don't control until In the Trenches leaves the battlefield. Activate only as a sorcery and only once. That's a great anthem.
Alex loves anthems.
I love anthems.
It do be glorious anthem.
It do be. It's so good. I really just love the flavor text on this one. I don't know if either of you have read it.
I have not.
But it's, the battlefield became so pockmarked with craters and trenches that casualties were regularly attributed to fell in a hole. I just think that's kind of goofy.
Yeah, I love dying by falling into a hole.
But yeah, let's actually introduce ourselves. Hi, my name's Alex.
I'm Elliot.
Hi, Elliot.
I'm Aaron.
Hi, Aaron. Welcome back to it. We're really excited. I just needed to get through that because that's my favorite card. And it's right there at the start. It's good stuff. But the next card up is Kayla's command. That's Caleb Bin Krug. It's 1 white for a sorcery. Choose 2 like most commands are. Create a 2/2 colorless construct artifact creature token. Put a 1/1 counter on a creature you control against double strike until end of turn. Search your library for a basic plains card. Reveal it, then put it into your hand, then shuffle. Or you gain 2 life and scry 2.
This one's cheap. You know, 3 mana is pretty good for 2 of these effects.
Yep.
But it is a sorcery, which is weird.
Yeah, especially for a command.
Yeah, it's like it's fine to play early on. I don't really know late game. I guess the double strike's powerful, but yeah, I don't know.
I think the fact that
that
it can't be a combat trick really bothers me a little bit because you really don't want to be doing the token and then putting the counter and giving it double strike on the same token because it's not going to be attacking. It's okay.
Yeah, very weird.
Yeah. Let's talk about Kayla's Reconstruction. It's X, white for a sorcery card that says, look at the top 7 cards of your library, put up to X artifact and or creature cards with mana value 3 or less from among them onto the battlefield. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. I think that's pretty good.
Yeah. It's, again, this one doesn't work like the other kind of modal X ones, because if you don't pay anything into X, you don't get anything. You just look at the top 7 cards of your library and put them on the bottom of your library in a random order.
Yeah, you can't just like find eggs.
I think this gets good at 5 and is acceptable at 6.
Okay, yeah, so you're like looking at the top 7, putting 2, putting 3.
Yeah.
Sure.
I think if you whiff on this, though, this is backbreaking because essentially this is, what's the card? The 3 and a green. Collected Company, because 3 mana value or less, but I do like that you can also grab artifacts with this.
Yeah.
That gives it a little bit more room to work.
Again, it's a sorcery though, too, right? Like, why they gotta do white like this?
It's like, there's like Sahili's Directive from the Commander set.
Oh yeah.
It's like X, red, look at the top X.
Yeah.
Things that cost X or less into play.
Yeah.
In a more artifact-themed color. So, it's kind of what I'm trying to compare it to.
Yeah. Next up, let's talk about Siege Veteran, 2 and a white for a 2/2 human soldier. At the beginning of combat on your turn, put a 1/1 counter on target creature you control. Whenever another non-token soldier you control dies, create a 1/1 colorless soldier artifact creature token. I like that pretty good. That's a nice solid rare, I think.
Good in the soldier deck.
Yeah, definitely good
Great
in the soldier deck.
Soldier deck rare.
I do like that they got it at the beginning of combat because I think it's Luminarch's Aspirant from, I believe, Zendikar, most recent one.
Oh, yes, sorry, Zendikar Rising.
Yeah, because they had to, apparently at some point, adjust that one because it was too powerful. So I think it being on a 3 mana rather than 2 mana body probably helps.
Yeah.
Next up, Soul Partition, 1 and a white for an instant. Oh my gosh, guys, it's a white instant card. Exile target non-land permanent for as long as that card remains exiled, its owner may play it. A spell cast by an opponent this way costs 2 more to cast. You know, it says by an opponent this way, so you can exile your own thing. Ooh. Fancy.
Sure. Yeah, you could. It is a flicker spell or a protection spell, maybe. Yeah. This is this effect is on that creature, right?
Yeah.
Spellbinder.
Yeah, pretty close. Yeah.
It's a weird one.
I think that comes out of hand rather than off the board, but I think this is fine removal.
Right. Yeah, I think like attaching again. Maybe I'm viewing it from a commander perspective mostly. This is just never beating swords and path and whatever, right? So.
No, but it plays very differently. Like the fact that you can exile your own thing.
Sure.
I think this card will probably play really, really well. Saving a permanent you control to cast at a later date to get around some amount of removal or wrath. And then sometimes this is resetting kind of a crucial piece in an opponent's turn, even if they recast at the same turn. Maybe it's a sword or something, and removing it from combat or...
I do think it's got pretty good tempo. And the fact that it's non-land permanent means you can really shenanigan somebody.
I think this card will play well, but you'll probably have to play it a few times to kind of get the full experience, to kind of get what know what you're going to get out of it.
Yeah. Again, I don't think it replaces Swords or Path, but if you're not running something like that or you're looking for something else, I think this has a spot. Mm-hmm. Next up, we've got Tokasia's Welcome, 2 and a white for an enchantment. Whenever one or more creatures with mana value 3 or less enter the battlefield under your control, draw a card. Uh-oh. What's that say, Elliot? Oh, Elliot's asleep. This ability triggers only once each turn.
It's Welcoming Vampire.
Yeah.
I haven't played Welcoming Vampire too much. People seem to like it a lot. Yeah, it's enchantment, harder to interact with.
Yeah. I think this plays really well with anything that's going to be consistently making tokens.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Well, right, yeah. Similar to Welcoming Vampire, they're just kind of putting like a surplus of this effect in the like white weenie deck. Like it for that.
Yeah, I think it's good to have redundancy.
Yeah,
for this kind of thing, because that's one of the things that we've talked about for years. White doesn't have redundancy; it only has its most powerful effects. It doesn't do anything else. So starting to see other expressions of this is good. I like that. Next up, we've got actually an artifact. It's Autonomous Assembler, 5 mana for an assembly worker, 4/5 vigilance, 1 tap. Put a 1/1 counter on target assembly worker you control. But it also has prototype.
I like this
for 1 and a white.
Yeah, so prototype is a new ability in this set, and it is you may cast this spell with different mana cost, color, and size. It keeps its abilities and types, and this one, for example, is 1 and a white to make it a 2/2 instead of a 4/5.
Yeah.
This one specifically, not maybe one that I'm super excited about. But some of the prototype creatures are very interesting. I think they're really cool.
I agree. I appreciate that they've made the rules so basically prototype overwrites entirely the other aspects of the card until it gets flickered or exiled or something like that.
Yeah, flickering, very good.
Yeah. I also really like and hope we see more of and size, because size as a encapsulation of power and toughness.
Oh yeah, have they ever done that before?
They have not,
No,
as
that's
far
the
as
first
I'm
time
aware.
I've used it.
I really think that having like size 1/1 reads a lot better than base power and toughness. And so if you're out there, Magic set editor person, who I don't really know their name, maybe encourage that, because I think that's pretty good shorthand. How do you guys feel about that?
I actually super agree, to the point that I didn't even realize that they used size. I just understood that they meant it makes it a 2/2 or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy that just parsed so easily.
Yeah, I think you're doing a great job, and B, try to encourage that more, I think.
Definitely.
I just hate the templating.
Really? How would you have done it?
Really, I'm probably in a world where I don't know if it's too much work to just make it an MDFC card,
Oh, okay.
but I
Interesting.
really dislike the templating. It reminds me of Level Up. I really didn't like Level Up.
Aaron's an aesthetics guy
Big
a lot of
aesthet-
the time, and yeah, I can see him not liking this.
Yeah.
Well, the one thing I will say is that most MDFCs actually have separated names and
Right.
separated abilities.
And I understand, like, if that's the reason, I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, even if there's a way to, I guess there's no way to indicate, I guess, on the card that it is cast for its prototype cost. Like, once it's in play, to represent that this is the 2/2, not the 4/5.
I feel
to
like
keep track of the board.
I feel like you just have like the
Sure.
little Mancala glass bead and just put it.
You could, you could do that, but yeah, once it's in play without the whatever word you said, keeping
guys-
track of it, maybe tricky, especially for like multiple prototypes.
Yeah,
Like,
y'all
they're
don't
kinda
have
weird.
Mancala up?
I don't know what that is.
Oh, it's a little board game with glass beads, and you put them into different cups. Jim, find a Mancala board and put it up here. We'll show Aaron the episode then. Anyway, the point is I there's a few reasons that it probably would not be functionally identical if you use MDFC, but I do understand from an aesthetics point what you mean. Next up, let's talk about Platoon Dispenser, 5 mana for an artifact creature construct, 4/6. At the beginning of your end step, if you control 2 or more other creatures, battalion, draw a card. 3 and a white. Create a 1/1 colorless soldier artifact creature token. Unearth 2 white.
Perfect. No notes. I love the name Platoon Dispenser.
Yeah, very good.
Yeah. If there's like a running theme of artifacts, white creatures caring about how many creatures you have and making 1/1 artifact creatures.
Yeah,
So
it's just good.
Great card.
Next up, Steel Seraph. Seraph. Steel Seraph. Yeah, that's how you say that.
Gangster.
Probably. Anyway, Logan, hit me up. 6 mana for an artifact creature angel, 5/4, flying at the beginning of combat on your turn. Target creature you control gains your choice of flying, vigilance, or lifelink until end of turn, and it has prototype for 1 white, which makes it a 3/3. I kind of like this. It's a nice piece, I think.
I think this is the most playable one as its prototype.
Yes.
You know, like the fact that the difference is 3 mana to make it +2/+1, like who cares? Like you're playing this for the beginning of combat trigger, right?
Yeah, I mean, the fact that you can choose to give this vigilance or lifelink in addition to be a flying beater,
Yeah.
that's pretty good.
It's also in the color that's the easiest to flicker in.
Yeah, exactly.
Again, yep, flickering it's only marginally better,
Yeah,
but it's super easy.
yeah, extremely easy. Next,
Also, prototype is definitely just reverse kicker. Just so we're clear.
Everything's kicker.
Yeah, exactly. This is inverse, maybe not reverse. I don't know.
I am still waiting for multi-horsemanship. Don't at me, wizards. Hercule's Final Meditation for
like ride 2 horses?
blue. Instant, as long as it's not your turn, the spell costs 3 more to cast. Return all non-land permanents to their owner's hands. End the turn.
This is like Turbo Cyclonic Rift.
Yeah.
Great.
It's like a mythic that, what is it? It's from a core set. It ends the turn. Costs 1 and a blue more if it's not your turn.
Yeah.
Oh, discontinuity.
That card.
Yeah.
It's just this card. This card is that on crack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the kind of card that if you actually cast it, I don't think you have friends anymore.
Oh no, probably.
Oh, absolutely not.
Like-
Yeah. As much as Cyclonic Rift sucks, you're like often casting that overloaded at the end of somebody's turn anyway.
Yeah.
This is like literally just guaranteeing, hey, you're returning all your stuff and probably discarding a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
And you don't even have a choice. It just ends your turn.
It's everybody. Yeah.
Just
Like
doesn't-
sure it's what, 10 mana?
10 mana.
But I mean,
Honestly, for 10 mana, I want to win the game. I don't want to do this because this does not win me the game.
absolutely.
In like 90% of
I hate it.
situations.
Cyclonic Rift to break the game drought is the most annoying.
Yeah, it's super annoying. Let's talk about one with the multiverse 6 blue for an enchantment. You may look at the top card of your library at any time. You may play lands and cast spells from the top of your library. Once during each of your turns, you may cast a spell from your hand or the top of your library without paying its mana cost. It's just omniscience, isn't it?
It's
With extra steps.
Sure, it's once during each of your turns, not during each turn.
Oh, yeah.
But it is, yeah, it's like future sight stapled to a limited omniscience. It's cool.
You cast your Hercules Final Meditation for free.
Oh, gangster.
Oh, that's what I want. But interestingly enough, I don't think you can discount the 3 more to cast on other people's turns, can you?
Well, the one with the multiverse is only during each of your turns.
Yeah, yeah.
anyway,
Oh,
so-
right.
Yeah.
Never mind.
It's
Bad card.
It's a big flashy effect. Someone's gonna like it.
That's fair. Speaking of big flashy effects, we got a blue soldier. It's Skystrike Officer. It's 2 and a blue for a flying human soldier 2/3. Whenever it attacks, create a 1/1 colorless soldier artifact creature token. Tap 3 untapped soldiers you control. Draw a card. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it plays well with all the other soldier support in the set.
Exactly.
Yeah, they have pushed blue-white soldiers a lot this set, and this one is one of them.
I especially enjoy the idea of being able at the end of everything with, like, say that lady that made all your creatures have vigilance and surveil.
Sure,
1.
yeah, attack with them, then also tap them to draw cards.
Card.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's good stuff. Oh, by the way, if you haven't watched our all legendaries set and commander review, that's already on the channel. Go check that out once you're done with this one. It'll be on a card. It'll be in the description. We'll put it over Elliot's face.
Oh, I was going to say put it over your
No,
face.
just put it over all our faces.
Not over
Jim.
my face.
Yeah, not Aaron's. No,
Just
don't cut
Aaron,
that out.
cut that out. Mask that out.
That's the moneymaker.
That's the moneymaker. Next up, let's talk about Urza's Command. 2 blue for an instant. Choose 2. Creatures you don't control get -2/-0 until end of turn. Create a tapped Power Stone token. Create a tapped 0/0 colorless construct artifact creature token. With this creature gets +1/+1 for each artifact you control. Or scry 1, then draw a card.
This is like almost cryptic command, you know? You give them -2/-0 instead of tapping them. You scry 1, then draw a card. I said almost.
Everything's almost. It's been hard enough, you know.
It's okay. Like, I think the fact that it's an instant and allows you to get the tapped creature at the immediately prior to your turn, along
The fact
with
that it's
scrying.
tapped is
Yeah.
so safe.
It's incredible.
I can't even like ambush something in combat.
Yeah. Well, you're not allowed to ambush things in combat. That makes people feel bad.
Oh, this card is a little tough.
Yeah, it's a little tough.
It's a little tough.
Next up, I think one of Jim's favorite cards in the set, if I'm not mistaken, is Arcane Proxy, 7 mana artifact creature wizard 4/3 that says when it enters the battlefield, if you cast it, exile target instant or sorcery card with mana value less than or equal to its power from your graveyard. Copy that card, you may cast the copy without paying its mana cost. And it also has prototype for 1 blue for a 2/1. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I think this is another one you're probably mostly playing for its prototype, recurring something cheap. Again, 4 mana more to only cast something that costs 4. This itself doesn't even have flash.
Yeah,
I think safe is a good word. I think they often make things a little too safe. But again, maybe that's my spike.
You can't blink it. Like, it's obviously designed. If you could blink it and rebuy its ability, it'd be nuts.
Right, yeah.
It's obviously designed in a way to not do that.
Yeah, they stapled that to a lot of
good.
things too. Like when it ETBs, if it was cast.
Yeah.
So.
I think my biggest piece on this one is I see this being a house in your standard and maybe even breaking into something like Pioneer with the ability to recur removal spells, cheap things.
Plays a cast living end.
It certainly does.
Oh, it does.
certainly
Did
does.
not put that together, but yeah, that casts living in. Yeah, I think it's nice. Next up, we're going to talk about Surge Engine, the latest Figure of Destiny card. It's a 2 mana artifact creature construct, 3/2 with Defender. And you can pay blue to make it lose Defender and gain this creature can't be blocked. You may play 2 and a blue to become blue and has base power and toughness 5/4. I wish that said size. Activate only if Surge Engine doesn't have Defender. And 4 blue, draw 3 cards. Activate only if Surge Engine is blue and only once.
Notably not at sorcery speed.
Yes.
Yeah, that's relevant for
Big
sure.
fan of all that. Honestly, I think 3/2 can't be blocked for 3 mana is actually really aggressive.
Yeah.
I think this has the capacity to be a very credible threat at a couple different levels, especially considering if you go 2 into 1 blue just before your turn and then 2 and a blue on your turn to attack for unblockable 5. That's not nothing.
I didn't realize this card was a mythic.
Oh, yeah.
Tough.
Yeah.
It's a little tough. This card's cool. Again, you can activate all of them at instant speed, including the last part. So that part's good. Only once. But you can blink it, reset it, start reinvesting.
Sure. I mean, that seems both reasonable and fun. Next up, let's talk about Tessarian Mindbreaker. That's 7 mana for an artifact creature Juggernaut with 6/4 type power line. Whenever Tessarian Mindbreaker attacks, defending player mills half their library, rounded up with unearth 1 blue.
I love Fleet Swallower.
Yeah. I think it looks dope. I mean, look at the
Oh,
mech.
I'm a big weeb, so I'm a big fan of giant robot.
Yeah, it's
absolutely.
It's like a
creature type Juggernaut. Oh yeah.
The only thing I think this is missing is attacks each turn if able, but let's be honest, when are you not attacking each turn if able with this thing?
Oh, absolutely.
I think it's almost certainly going to be unearthed more often than it's ever going to be cast, yeah? Just too big otherwise. 6/4 is probably the right size for this, but yeah.
I don't know if that part matters.
Yeah, the attack.
Toughness almost irrelevant.
Yeah, exactly. Interestingly, with one of the cards that we mentioned in our legendary set review, the uncommon white card can rebuy this thing because it has unearth. So you can unearth it for 4, attack with it, and then use the blinky thing for 7 total to essentially just make this card every turn or whatever.
Yeah, I completely understand where you're coming
Cool.
from. Remind me, is Diabolic Intent a reprint?
It is,
Ooh.
but it's a pretty exciting one, honestly.
Yeah, it's 1 and a black for a sorcery card that says an additional cast to cost this spell. Sacrifice a creature, search your library for a card, then put that card into your hand, then shuffle.
Good plane shift reprint.
Yeah, I don't think it's been reprinted since.
Let's find out.
It has a
A Secret Lair, maybe,
no.
or a Judge.
No, that'd be a good guess. It has the
Battle Bond.
invocation. Oh, sorry,
Yeah,
Battle
okay,
Bond.
it was in Battle Bond,
But
and
it has
then
the invocation, I knew that
version
one.
too. Yeah,
Yeah, I think that's a
yeah.
great
I mean,
reprint.
even after this Battle Bond printing, it's apparently still at like $26.
Yeah.
The original plane shift at time of recording is $38.
And meanwhile, the
US.
the most basic level is asking for less than 15. So I think that's a great reprint.
Oh, yeah, that card will go down a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Big fan.
I love seeing that. Right, like again, it's like Imperial
one in this
Seal,
set, too.
Grim Tutor, like all of those kinds of things that are just 3 visits is a great example. Like just artificially high because they've only been printed 1 or 2 times. You flood the market with this kind of thing. People can still pick this one up if they just need the effect, but then, tryhards like me can go get Plane Shift Foil and be cool guys.
Yeah, again, there's another one of these in the set. Not as expensive as Diabolic Intent, but there's another one which is good. So
Yeah, bang.
it's great.
Next up is Fateful Handoff, 3 and a black for a sorcery card. It says draw cards equal to the mana value of target artifact or creature you control. An opponent gains control of that permanent.
This one's a sorcery again.
Yeah, less good.
Very weird. Don't think I'm going to play that.
Donating instant speed would be weird.
Yeah, I think specifically this is going to find a home in your political giveaway decks.
Yeah.
But the problem with that is most of the political giveaway decks I know of are in red, white, blue.
Right, they're Jeskai or like
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Blim Comedic Genius is Rakdos and does like the giveaway
I guess
thing.
it goes in that deck.
Right, like what are you giving them with this? This is 4 mana, give them Silent Arbiter, like draw 3 cards.
Sure.
Okay, who cares?
Yeah.
I thought Blim would be an interesting commander, but then you just give away the stuff that faces your things and whatnot.
right.
So
Not necessarily the best, but it is at least a thing. Next up, let's talk about Gix's command. It's 3 black for a sorcery. Choose 2. Put 2 1/1 counters on up to 1 creature. Gains lifelink until end of turn. Destroy each creature with power 2 or less. Return up to 2 creature cards from your graveyard to your hand. Each opponent sacrifices a creature with the highest power among creatures they control.
the last 2 modes are by far the best.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm...
And a 5-mana sorcery is kind of tough still.
Yeah, 5-mana sorcery still tough. I'm like probably playing this card because it's double Unearth, and not Unearth.
Double Raised Dead.
Raised Dead, and I have a mono black Raised Dead tribal deck.
I think to your hand's a little tough, but
Well, that's Raised Dead, baby.
I don't know. Like,
I almost wish I bought back 2 small guys into play, like Unearth 2 creatures. which
right, like
maybe
if you
too
had
much.
like if you kept with the 2 power thing.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think destroy each creature with 2 power 2 or less is going to be interesting to see in standard. I think this is the thing that gets you the reset in your control deck against aggro.
Definitely.
But aside from that, I don't see it seeing much play. Let's talk about Gixian Puppeteer. Ugh, that's easy to say. 3 and a black for Phyrexian Warlock 4/3. Whenever you draw your second card each turn, each opponent loses 2 life and you gain 2 life. When it dies, return another target creature card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield.
Yep, cool effect. This one's notable for the Spiked Feeders because it is a 4/3, which means Jim gets to put it in his Wild Pair 7s deck, and it buys back mana value 3 things, which a lot of the things in that deck are.
Ball lightning effects.
Yeah. Ball lightnings.
Outside of that, pretty corner case.
Oh yeah,
I
pretty
don't know if
medium.
This card is good.
Pretty medium.
I think to draw your second card each turn is a little bit odd, given that it's only you. I think this would be a lot better if it was whenever a player draws a second card each turn, each opponent loses 2 life, and you gain 2 life. I think that would probably be safe. I don't think it's too powerful, but I don't work at Wizards. Next up, something I am excited about, Hostile Negotiations. 3 and a black for an instant. Exile the top 3 cards of your library in a face-down pile. Then exile the top 3 cards of your library in another face-down pile. Look at the cards in each pile. Then turn a pile of your choice face up. An opponent chooses one of those piles, put that pile into your hand and the other into the graveyard. You lose 3 life.
I think this is more powerful than Fact or Fiction.
I agree.
Which is saying something.
Yep. I think, personally, this is maybe one of my favorite poker cards that I've seen in a long time.
I do love like those kind of little mind games, you know, like the you choose or whatever. Like, and yeah, this is a strong one.
Yeah, no, this card's super cool. I think you know, cast it one time, you'll like it.
Yeah. I think it's definitely the kind of thing I want to at least try.
Yeah, sure.
Next up, Misery's Shadow. 1 and a black for a shade 2/2. If a creature an opponent controls would die, exile it instead. 1. Misery's Shadow gets +1/+1 until end of turn. That's a lot.
This card's great.
That's a lot.
When this card got spoiled, I think we were at Commander Night.
Yeah,
and Aaron turns to me and goes, "Hey man, Nantuko Shade's not playable anymore."
Right?
Torment and Tuckle Shade is like one of my favorite cards. So
Yeah.
I like it.
I think Misery Shadow does a lot of good stuff. I think, honestly, I think this card is a really good example of old design philosophy meeting new design philosophy. Like that first part is very much a new effect. We've only really seen it since Khan's-ish era on, I think it was
Offensa.
And Offensa, there we go. And then the second half, like you said, is old Shade stuff, and it's even got the Shade typing. So I'm a big fan of that.
Colorless Shade typing, or colorless Shade too, not just mono black, which is nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, when this card got spoiled, and we were talking about it. Just like the first line of text, I think is so powerful in Commander.
Yep.
Like in the same game, like that I were playing, like I'll play Dolthy Voidwalker, and like Dolthy Voidwalker is obviously good.
Yeah.
But even if that card didn't have a second ability, the card is like very, very powerful. Just that card puts all cards put in the graveyard into exile. Yeah. But even this exiling is like so powerful in Commander.
Well, more specifically, the thing I want to point out is it's one colorless, so your Power Stone tokens can pay it.
Oh, poggers.
Yes, very poggers. Now we've got Painful Quandary, 3 black for an enchantment that says whenever an opponent casts a spell, that player loses 5 life unless they discard a card.
Another good reprint.
Yes, it is.
Scars of Mirrodin.
Yeah, it's good stuff. I like the art.
I think it was like $15 before.
Yeah, we can check it out.
Yeah, like another one of these like only other printing, Scars of Mirrodin, currently $12.50 USD.
Yeah.
This card does not need to be
$5.
expensive.
$5.
Perfect.
Probably less. Let's talk about Phyrexian Flesh Gorger. 7 mana for a Phyrexian Worm. 7/5, Menace, Lifelink, Ward. Pay life equal to Phyrexian Flesh Gorger's power. And it can come in for 1 black for a 3/3. I think that's real good.
Yeah, this card scales. I like it. I like how its power scales to its ability.
Yeah.
Yes.
A lot more than the previous ones we talked about.
Yeah.
Yeah, 7 life is no joke. It's pretty real. So
I mean, even at 3, that's an incredibly aggressive trade because even if you get to attack once with this, you're going to be getting double blocked.
Yeah.
You're gaining life. And if they want to try and affect you, otherwise they got to pay 3 to do it. It's good stuff.
It's not very flashy, but
No, I think that was one of the first. If not,
it was the first prototype.
It was the first prototype because I remember a lot of people seeing this and thinking like, okay, I'm gonna like play it for 3. It's a 3 mana 3/3 Menace Lifelink. That's relevant. They go to try to remove it by paying 3 life, and you ephemerate it or you cloud shift it.
Undying Evil effect.
Yeah, like
Just infinite feign death type beat nowadays.
Yeah.
Comes back with 8 power even.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Cool card.
Yep, I really like it. Next up is Razor Lash Transmogrant. 2 for an artifact creature zombie, 3/1. Razor Lash Transmogrant can't block. 4 black, return it from your graveyard to the battlefield with a 1/1 counter on it. This ability costs 4 less to activate if an opponent controls 4 or more non-basic lands.
Pretty easy.
That's good. That's what's the guy who comes coming back from the graveyard?
There's a lot.
Yeah,
reassembling skeleton, Phyrexian, or not Phyrexian.
There's a lot of
Grave
skeletons that
Crawler.
come
Gravecrawler, there we go.
I think this is a really strong grave crawler. The fact that it's
a zombie too, which is even
great. The return ability doesn't staple exile it onto it, right? So
doesn't
like
exile anything else.
Yeah,
just
exactly.
2 black, boom.
Yeah. So like you play it for 2 as a 3/1, it dies.
Not sorcery speed.
Yeah, like super easy to just pay 2 black on somebody else's end step, return it. A lot of them have returned this to the battlefield tapped, stapled to them. This doesn't. So if you have multiple black stapled to it, or like open, you're like block on your turn, return it, block on your turn. Oh, I can't block.
Yeah, that's why they put
Probably
that on
why.
there.
It's okay though.
They're ahead of you.
I would.
You could sack it to Ashnod's Altar, or not Ashnod's Altar, Phyrexian Altar.
Oh, 1 black.
Loop some sort of
Yeah.
dice trigger. Yeah, I'm sure there's some amount of aristocrats that'll play this card.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Next up, it's the
Fixed Skull Clamp.
Skull Clamp we have at home. It's Transmogrant's Crown 2
Yeah.
for an artifact equipment. Equips for 2 or black, and equip creature grip +2/+0. Whenever an equipped creature dies, draw a card.
Should give +2/-1.
Yeah, this is much worse than Skull Clamp, obviously. Skull Clamp's a pretty nasty, busted card.
Yeah.
Again, still, obviously you're in a black deck in Commander if you're playing this because it has the actual black pip, so it is black color identity.
Yeah.
Equipping it for a black, sacrificing it to Phyrexian Altar or whatever, drawing a single card. It is, like, in an Aristocrats or whatever style deck, it does a pretty good Skull Clamp impression.
Elliot's being overly nice to this. This card is a really bad Skull Clamp.
Yeah.
That is only in black.
Yeah.
Like
Well, if you can only play 1 Skull Clamp.
this is like the ice cream you have at home when you're like going Dairy Queen, and you get home.
It's not even 2 cards.
It's like the Compliments brand ice cream.
Okay,
sandwich.
this card sucks. Be cool.
I'm not trying to be rude. Just it's too safe. I think they could have zhuzhed this up. I think drawing 2 cards.
They could have pushed it if it wasn't the commander product.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
it being in standard,
That's fair. That's super fair. Let's talk about Brotherhood's End. 1 red for sorcery. Choose 1. Brotherhood's End deals 3 damage to each creature and each planeswalker, or destroy all artifacts with mana value 3 or less. Let's hate on some treasures.
Yeah, I'm slamming this card in a lot of things.
The modality on this one gives you so much utility, and having it hit creatures and planeswalkers is great. Having it hit artifacts when you're really getting after it's great. I actually think this is the kind of thing that probably sees play in something like Godo to really mess up people's big flashy rollouts in CEDH. I don't see it going in a lot of other places, but it's got a lot of utility.
Yeah, I'm going to put this in my Croxa deck. Again, it's a CDH style deck, but it plays a lot of it plays Pestilence, Pyrohemia, and then basically anything that says this, like deal 3 damage, like Anger of the Gods, all those kinds of things to really try to control the board, like group slug, as it were, or whatever, right? Like really just slow things down, make the game fair at your tempo.
Yeah.
And again, like you said, the modality on this card, right? Like both of these are banger abilities for 1 red.
Yeah.
it scales really well from competitive to casual too. Right, there's just as many treasures and mana rocks rolling around in casual. The Anger of the Gods ability is also no joke, so card's great.
Yeah, big fan. Huge amount of utility. Probably want to pick that one up if you're the type of person who plays red. Next up, Draconic Destiny. 1 red for an enchantment aura. Enchant creature. Enchanted creature gets +1/+1 and has flying, haste, and pay 1. This creature gets +1/+0 until end of turn. It's a dragon in addition to its other types. When it dies, return Draconic Destiny to its owner's hand. Fire breathing for colorless.
+1/+1 flying haste for 1 red isn't irrelevant either.
Right.
I could see this just slapping into any kind of Voltron deck, giving your Voltron commander +1/+1 flying haste, maybe make some creatures hit. There's that kind of break point where you're trying to give something, in theory, like 11 power to double strike or kill in 2 hits with commander damage or that kind of thing, and +1/+1, and then, like you said, colorless fire breathing, not irrelevant.
Especially when you got power.
Evasion, haste.
Especially when you get Power Stone tokens floating around.
Rank Cortex is great.
Yeah, no, big fan of it. Let's talk about Mechanized Warfare. 1 red for an enchantment that says if a red or artifact source you control would deal damage to an opponent or a permanent an opponent controls, it deals that much damage +1 instead. Big fan of this at this rate. It's basically just Tor brand, but on an enchantment, cheaper. I think this sees a ton of play.
Yeah. Again, if you're looking for that effect, it's another copy of that effect. That's a powerful effect.
I think it's the kind of thing that stuff like Jim's Torwalkie Pingers deck is really going to appreciate. Anything that does artifacts as well is really big as well. So kind of a huge fan of it. I really like the art in this one. The combination of the mechs in the background and the people in the foreground really shows you the scale, the varying scale, I should say, of how this conflict went. I really appreciate that. So next up, it's Mishra's Command. X and a red for a sorcery. Choose target player. They may discard up to X cards. Then they draw a card for each card discarded this way. This spell deals X damage to target creature. This spell deals X damage to target planeswalker. Or target creature gets +X/+0 and gains haste until end of turn. X value command is interesting.
Sure, they made it a sorcery again. I think this is my least favorite one.
Yeah?
I think so.
Really? Shock a creature +2/+0 and haste?
Sure.
Yeah,
sure.
but the odds of you've already played a creature that needs haste, you have 3 mana lying around, plus a target.
Yeah, that's right.
In my head, it's like kill a guy, loot some amount of cards.
Yeah, I can
At
also
sorcery
see that.
speed,
Yeah.
which is not great.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you cast it for 0, the only thing you can really get is the haste, so yeah, I see that.
Is 0 mana give a creature haste? If you're into it for that, then you get only upside from then on. You know?
Yeah, I mean, okay, that's actually not irrelevant, I guess.
Yeah.
That is like the rate or whatever,
If
right?
you want
It's
to
like 1
exploit
red.
that doesn't draw you a card, but also has this random other upside.
Yeah, because then you can play it for 2 and actually start getting stuff, right?
Yeah.
I don't think it's awful, but I don't think it's good. Honestly, this entire cycle of commands was safe.
Underwhelming.
Here's something that's not underwhelming. Over the top. 5 red for a sorcery that says each player reveals a number of cards from the top of their library equal to the number of non-land permanents they control. puts all permanent cards they revealed this way onto the battlefield and puts the rest into their graveyard.
Over the Top's a great name for this.
Yes.
It's fantastic.
Oh yeah,
Hugely good.
I will never cast a spell. I'm not the type of commander player that's giving my opponents a doubling their board state.
I would say this is a very specific type of spell for a very specific type of deck. I can see that if you like flood your board with like automated automaton or academy manufactor,
Sure.
and you've just got a slew of
just a
tokens,
ton of non-land
everything
permanents.
on there, then you basically just your deck. But that also comes with the risk of now your deck's empty and this doesn't give you haste.
Well, and it does each player too, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
It is
what's
safe
that,
Genesis Wave or no? What's the green one? Primal Surge.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. I think it's interesting. I especially really like, again, not to talk too much about the art, but I really like the art in this. It's very evocative of like your World War I trench warfare, but everybody's walking around with like an axe and a sword, which is just kind of like some weird dichotomy. I just really like the vibe in this set. I think they did a really good job on the art.
What's the red green commander? Is it Nikia?
Oh yeah, Nikki of the old ways.
Let's see, like flares your mana but only casts for creature spells.
Yeah.
Well, if you're playing a handful of non-creature spells, this one might
This
be
is
okay.
probably one of them. Sure. Yeah.
Makes
But
sense.
pretty corner case.
Yeah, very corner case. Next up is Tyrant of Care Ridges. 4 red for a dragon, flying 4/5 that says when it enters the battlefield, it deals 4 damage to any target, and it's got fire breathing, which is red, and gets +1/+0 until end of turn.
Is this card just like updated Shivan Dragon?
Yeah,
It's like pretty plain Jane.
Yeah.
Flame Tunkavu something. Fire breathing.
Flame Tongue Kavu had a baby with Shivan Dragon. That's it.
Yeah.
Don't want to think about that.
We weren't supposed to think about it like that. Visions of Phyrexia is 2 red for an enchantment that says at the beginning of your upkeep, exile the top card of your library. You may play that card this turn. At the beginning of your end step, if you didn't play a card from exile this turn, create a tap Power Stone token. This seems like a very expensive version of Outpost Siege.
Yeah.
There's a lot of this effect now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like super safe. Like you said, Outpost Siege, like super underwhelming.
There's even the one from Zendikar Rising has landfall that like
Yeah.
exiles and then deals
Right.
damage to them. for
Yeah,
20
that one's
cast.
way better than this.
Yeah.
Yeah. That being said, I think the Power Stone tokens are maybe a slight bit better than we're giving them credit for, but not that much.
Oh yeah, no respect.
0 respect. Next up, let's talk about Phyrexian Dragon Engine 3. It's the other half of Melds with Mishra, claimed by Gix. It's an artifact creature Phyrexian Dragon, 2/2 with double strike. When it enters the battlefield from your graveyard, you may discard your hand. If you do, draw 3 cards, unearth for 3 red. I think that's probably likely to be a fairly perennial standard card in your mono red aggro deck.
Yeah, 3 mana, 2/2 double strike. Unearth for 5 is like fine to rebuy this thing. And it's got the
It Ox of Agonis you.
yeah. But maybe there's a world where this is like a whatchamacallit, like a vintage card because 3 mana is workshop mana. You go like turn 1 Phyrexian Dragon Engine, start attacking people, but I don't know.
Maybe.
I like it's the meld pair I like the most.
Yeah.
I like both the face cards.
Sure.
Yeah, it's the meld pair that I actually think does what meld should do, which is win you the game in short order. Frankly, if you're going to put that much work and effort into it, you should win the game. Next up, let's talk about Skitter Beam Battalion. Ooh, that's fun to say. Skitter Beam Battalion. 9 mana for an artifact creature construct, 4/4, trample, haste. When it enters the battlefield, if you cast it, create 2 tokens that are copies of it. That's pretty good. You can also prototype it for 3 red at a 2/2 rate.
This one is less exciting again. Again, I think the Flesh Gorger is the only prototype one that I'm like really excited about, like both sides of it, like the scaling power toughness. 5 mana for 3 2/2 trample hastes. Okay.
You can't abuse it. Like,
Yeah.
You can't treasure it. You can't really do a ton to it.
Again, yeah, they stapled that to it. Yeah,
You
if
have
you
to
cast
cast.
it.
If this was an ETB effect, I think it's great.
Yeah, it's great. Super sick.
But no, otherwise it's just not good. Awaken the Woods, X green for a sorcery that says create X 1/1 green forest dryad land creature tokens. They are affected by summoning sickness.
Double your mana, I guess.
Well, not quite. You gotta
Not
pay 2,
quite. You got to pay 2 green.
but
It's really unsafe. You're making a bunch of 1/1s.
yeah.
But like, well, it's unsafe. But I guess if you have like concordant crossroads and stuff,
Yeah.
you kind of like.
There you go.
That card's a lot more, readily available nowadays, which is nice.
Yeah, I think this is an interesting piece. I think it's maybe one of the most flavorful green cards I've seen in a minute. It just says exactly what green is supposed to want to do, which is flood the board and flood the mana.
I don't know how to evaluate this card very well.
It's one of those things that I feel like it's missing text like Convoke, for example.
Sure.
People seem to be either love it or think it's terrible.
I don't think it does a lot. If it was forest elves, then maybe we're talking something, but dryads and forests don't have a ton of relevance outside of this set. I think in this set specifically, you could put it together a Titania deck that really wants to run this.
Sure.
But that's about
It's a lot of landfall triggers.
Exactly.
Oh.
That is a lot of landfall triggers. Next up is Fade from History, 2 green for a sorcery. That says, each player who controls an artifact or enchantment creates a 2/2 bear creature token. Then destroy all artifacts and enchantments.
Great.
Yep.
No notes.
I feel like we've been waiting for an artifact and enchantment wrath for a minute, and I think this is a really good.
It's like Band of Progress.
Yep.
Less abusable.
Yep.
Reminds me of Hibernation's End.
Yep. I like it. It gives away bears.
Yeah.
I just think that's
It
cute.
does.
Again, art's really great. I just think they've been doing a really great job with all of it recently.
Absolutely.
Next up, Fauna Shaman, 1 and a green, Elf Shaman, 2/2 green, tap, discard a creature card, search your library for a creature card, reveal it, put it in your hand, then shuffle. Another great reprint, right?
That is what I was referring to, yeah.
Yep, it's good stuff. I mean,
It wasn't as expensive as anywhere close to expensive as Diabolic Intent, but still being in like the $12, $15 range, like Painful Quandary.
Yeah.
Just get more of them out there. With new art too, for the first time.
Yeah.
Is nice.
Yeah, extremely nice. Let's talk about next up, Teething Wormlet, 1 green mana. Sorry, just a green mana. For a creature worm, 1/1. It has Death Touch as long as you control 3 or more artifacts, which is Metalcraft, yeah?
Yeah, for some reason not tagged, but
Yeah. Anyway, whenever an artifact enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 1 life. If this is the first time this ability is resolved this turn, put a 1/1 counter on Teething Wormlet. Seems fine.
They leaned into the not just the traditional colors that care about artifacts. Green cares a bunch of about artifacts in this set. I imagine for limited and whatnot.
Yeah.
The card seems pretty modest. I like the art a lot. I'm a big Jesper Essing fan.
Yeah. The face on the little dragon guy there, he's very expressive.
Very cute.
Yeah, he's got a little bell there, tracking all the birds. It's good stuff. Next up, Titania's Command. 4 green for a sorcery. Choose 2. Exile target player's graveyard. You gain 1 life for each card exiled this way. Search your library for up to 2 land cards. Put them on the battlefield. Tap, then shuffle. Create 2/2 green bear creature tokens. Put 2 1/1 counters on each creature you control. I think that's pretty good. Search your library for up to 2 land cards is...
Any 2 lands is very relevant.
Yeah, but they are tapped.
Sure.
Yeah. This is another very safe card.
Yep.
It's 6 mana. It's a sorcery. I'm going to play this in my Lich deck because it's got 2 relevant life gain modes depending on the size of somebody's graveyard or how many Soul Sister type effects you have into play. You're either exiling the graveyard, gaining a life for each card exiled that way, or making 2/2 bears. If you have 2 Soul Sisters in play, that gains 4 life, probably draws you a card with Liches. And then you're searching your library for Urborg Cabal Coffers or whichever one you're missing from those, plus Sarah's Sanctum or whatever. Specifically, my version of the deck wants to abuse this because it also plays all of the red time walks. So the lands entering the battlefield tapped is a little less relevant if you're going to an extra turn right away.
That does make sense. One of the things I really like is that you could actually get, at minimum, 8 power of bears for using the last 2 modes, and it's got upside on top of it.
Yeah, just 6 mana, make 2 2/2s, put 2 +1/+1 counters on each of them. Not irrelevant.
Not irrelevant at all. Next up, we've got Perennial Behemoth. 5 mana for a Crucible of Worlds that also has Unearth for green on a 2/7 artifact creature beast body.
Yeah.
Weird that it has Unearth.
A little bit.
It's very weird and very powerful because I'm going to probably put this, I guess I don't know for sure, but I'm going to try it out for sure in Gitrog Monster in CEDH.
Sure.
Ooh, Gitrog Frog, yeah.
Yeah, because this is just a Crucible effect that as you're dredging for value off of your Grave Troll or whatever, instead of, I hit my Crucible of Worlds, now I can't cast it, it's, I hit my Perennial Behemoth, I get to cast Crucible for 1 cheaper.
Yeah, actually, good point. That's sick. Yeah, big fan of that. I think green is probably the right rate for that. Wow, I hadn't considered that, but yeah, good stuff. Next up, Rootwire Amalgam. 5 mana for an artifact creature golem. 3 green to sacrifice it, create an XX colorless green artifact golem creature token where X is 3 times Rootwire Amalgam's power. It gains haste until the end of turn, activated only as a sorcery on a 5/5 body, or you can play it for 1 and a green for a 2/3.
Again, not really excited about this one. It does scale better, like the 2 mana 2/3 to a 5 mana 5/5. You're either making a 5 mana 6/6 or a 5 mana 15/15.
Hasty too.
Yeah. Neat. It's
Neat.
a golem.
Yeah.
Neat.
Yeah, I would say neat is, I think, exactly where this one falls.
Yeah.
Speaking of neat, we've got Simian Simulacrum, which is also fun to say for 3 mana artifact creature ape, 2/1. When it enters the battlefield, you put 2 1/1 counters on target creature you control, and you can unearth for 2 green. I think that's pretty fire.
Yeah. Just a cute, aggressive green card, I guess, right?
Yeah, it's good stuff.
It's kind of modest.
Yeah. Let's talk about Let's talk about Death Bloom Ritualist. 3 black-green for an elf warlock 3/5. Tap to add X mana of any one color, where X is the number of creature cards in your graveyard. That's an unusual dork at 5 mana.
Is it a dork at 5?
Yeah, 5 is a lot. Again, kind of especially able to talk about this card because I play a green-black creatures-only elf deck. Not excited. Not excited about this guy.
5 mana is a lot.
5
Even
is
if you
so
build a deck
much.
where you can take advantage of this ability,
Yeah,
it's a lot.
it's a lot.
Yeah, and the fact that it's got to be talking about the number of creature cards in your graveyard means that you get a really unusual elf ball deck going on, like maybe a Lathril
Weird
deck.
Songs of the Damned.
Yeah. I'm just not sure exactly where this goes. I'm sure someone out there is going, no, it goes in blah, blah, blah deck, and I just don't know what blah, blah, blah is right now.
Sure.
Yeah, tell us in
think,
the comments.
Yeah, I think if this was more in line with like Karametra's Acolyte and the one from like Strixhaven that is like tap to add mana where you gained life, those are both like 3 and a green or 2 green or something. Like could have been a 4 mana 2/4. It looks a little better, but it's weird.
Yeah, very weird. Next up, we've got Legions to Ashes. 1 white-black for a sorcery. Exile target non-land permanent and opponent controls and all tokens that player controls with the same name as that permanent. Love token hate.
Yeah, I guess Black-White really didn't like Scoot Swarm.
Yeah, no kidding. I think this is a very fair card. It's niche, but especially if you're the type of person who's playing with someone who makes a lot of token go-wide decks, this is going to be a good include for you.
I still see Vindicate kick around every now and then in casual tables, and this card is like the upside, at least in casuals, probably just worth it.
Yeah.
Being able to catch all tokens is nice. But
Yeah, like basically Vindicate, again, like density of that effect, not irrelevant either, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, good card.
Before we move on, I just want to take one quick moment to encourage everyone watching today to give us a like, leave us a comment, and if you haven't subscribed yet, give us a subscription. We put out content like this all the time. We've got gameplay, we've got stuff like this, and you get to see more of Aaron, less of me, and some more of Elliot. So
We're
do that.
usually around a lot.
Yeah, it's true. Any case, let's move on to Sarenth Great Worm. 4 red-green for a creature worm 7/6 with trample. That says whenever a land enters the battlefield, create a tapped Power Stone token.
Yep, sure does.
A land, not landfall.
Yeah, it is relevantly not landfall because it counts all of your opponent's lands for some reason.
I think it's 6. That's pretty reasonable.
Sure, yeah, it's a big worm.
It is gigantic.
Any thoughts?
You want to play that Great Worm?
yeah, I don't know. I'm playing this big worm deck, then I'm going to get all these Power Stone tokens. I got to do something with the Power Stone tokens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does make a lot of permanents I can,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm not sure either. In any case, let's move on to Blade Coil Serpent X and 6 for an artifact creature Serpent 5/4. When Blade Coil Serpent enters the battlefield, for each blue spent to cast it, draw a card. For each black spent to cast it, each opponent discards a card. For each red spent to cast it, it gets +1/+0 and gains trample and haste until end of turn. Whew, that's an infinite mana outlet right there.
It sure do be. This one is very funny. It does the X scaling thing. I think we talked about maybe in the Legendaries episode where you could just cast this for 6. It's like a 6 mana, potentially 6 mana draw a card. Each opponent discards a card, and it's a 6/4 with haste, trample and haste. Or it's like, obviously any mode. Yeah, 6 mana draw 3, 6 mana each opponent discards 3 cards, blah, blah, blah. Or Infinite mana, draw my whole deck.
Murder one person.
Yeah, makes it infinitely large with trample and haste.
Yeah. I think it's okay. It's more cute than it is good, I think.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Again, it's not abusable on flicker and whatever, right? Like,
I think it's best when you're casting this thing monocolored.
Yeah.
In any 3 modes. But if you have to play a minimum 3-color deck, which makes it difficult to get, never mind 4 of any particular color into it.
Sure.
But it does scale, which is really cool.
That is cool.
But yeah.
Speaking of the next one that scales, it's Clay Champion X and 4 for an artifact creature construct 2/2. It says when it enters the battlefield with 3 1/1 counters for each green spent to cast it, or enters the battlefield, choose up to 2 other target creatures you control for each white spent to cast it, put a 1/1 counter on each of them. I think that's much more abusable, personally. I think, especially in those 2 colors, you tend to want to go wide, you tend to want to have big mana. I think this is the kind of card that benefits from this rather than suffers from it.
It is a 4-mana 8/8.
absolutely. It's green for an 8/8. It's white for 6 power. Like you put 2 counters on 4 other creatures or 2 on 2 whatever, right? Like definitely a lot of variation in the way that this one could be used. I think I agree with you. I see it mostly probably for the white, putting like a bunch of +1/+1 counters in like a go wide green-white tokens or whatever deck.
You know what deck loves this? Hamza, Guardian of Arashan.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
You put the counters on Hamza.
If you're not even on Hamza, because he counts all the creatures that you
it
have
just
with
counts
one,
all of them?
and it discounts creature spells.
Oh, it's all color. Oh no, that doesn't work.
It doesn't work. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. But still, that's still great.
Yeah.
I like it that it's the other 2 colors.
Yeah.
Yes.
Cityscape Leveler, 8 mana for an artifact creature construct, 8/8 with trample. When you cast a spell, whenever Cityscape Leveler attacks, destroy up to 1 target non-land permanent. Its controller creates a tap Power Stone token. It's so nice.
This card couldn't destroy a land.
Its name is Cityscape Leveler and it can't target lands? You're joking me.
Okay, I'm going to ask you guys a question. Is a house a land?
Yes.
A house is a land.
Yeah. Witch's cabin or whatever from
Witch's Cottage. Or
Witch's
I think Witch's Cottage was on a land.
No. Well, then why is it called Witch's Cottage? Because it's not called the land that Witch's Cottage is on.
But it's not destroying the land, it's destroying the cityscape. In fact, it's creating more land by getting rid of all the stuff on top of it.
Destroy land, cowards.
Yeah, do you agree with me and Aaron, or do you agree with Alex? Let us know.
Please.
I'm excited about this card.
Yeah, I think it's good.
Colorless needs ways to destroy pesky permanents.
Yep.
Currently, like some of the best ones are real stinkers, like 7 mana instant speed scour from existence or whatever. Ooh, I have it in a couple, pal. So yeah, excited about this thing. I like that it's cast or attacks. So like if they don't get rid of this 8/8, you're just like trundling in and destroying another thing.
Yeah.
Unearthed Freight, great.
Nothing to complain about there. I will say that I think this probably could have been at 7 and 7/7, and I probably would have been okay with it because it's more on the Meteor Golem level of stuff.
Yeah, love that.
But yeah, nothing
Scale it all down. Yeah, 7 mana, 7/7, Unearthed 7, sure.
Yeah, I think that's probably fine. Let's move on to Portal to Phyrexia, 9 mana for an artifact that says when it enters the battlefield, each opponent sacrifices 3 creatures. At the beginning of your upkeep, put a target creature card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. It's a Phyrexian addition to its other types. Whoo, buddy, that's a big spell.
Yeah, that's a mythic, pal.
I go right there. That's a haymaker. You're not winning the game off that.
9 mana sack, or 9 mana sack 9 creatures in theory, right?
Yeah.
And then the fact that it targets is insane. Right?
And
like
just bloop, bloop, bloop,
yeah, like you're getting anything from a graveyard.
Give me Power Stone token, mill, Portal to Phyrexia deck.
Sure, great place for it.
Yeah, that's I think what I want. I want to see that. Comments, give me that deck.
Yeah, this card's nuts. Every ready deck, every what's his name?
Yeah,
Felden. Jeez.
Felden,
Felden.
Yeah, no
Felden.
kidding. God, this with Felden would be absolutely insane. Next up, Thran Spider. 3 mana for an artifact creature spider. It has reach. It's a 2/4 body. When it enters the battlefield, you and target opponent each create a tapped Power Stone token. 7 mana. Look at the top 4 cards of your library. You may reveal an artifact card from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Seems fine.
Yeah, I don't love that it's you and target opponent. I think it could have just been you.
Yeah.
Again, in Commander, you're probably picking the person who's not abusing the Power Stones the most, so
Right.
it's not the biggest downside of all time. The Power Stone obviously can be used to activate its ability, which refills your hand and stuff, but
It's a lot of mana.
it's 7 mana.
My guess is that when they sat down to play this, they probably just had a number there, and testing came out and gave us these numbers.
I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, like, at this point, I personally actually really trust the Future League folks. They seem to they've done a pretty good job since like War of the Spark days. I just think they're on top of it. Also, you got to think this is Giant Spider with more for 3 colorless.
yeah.
Like, it can't be that aggressive, can it?
Take that, Magic Boomers.
Yeah.
For sure, a lot of these abilities, like you mentioned, have been scaled assuming you're either playing a limited format or a restricted format that creates Power Stones.
Yes.
Right,
So
lots of
7
them.
looks absurdly expensive, but it probably isn't, when you actually get down to it.
Yeah. Next up, let's talk about Argoth, Sanctum of Nature. It's enters the battlefield tap unless you control a legendary green creature. It taps to add green. You pay 2 green, tap it to create a 2/2 bear creature token, and mill 3 cards, activate only as a sorcery. It melded with Titania to create extremely large Titania.
Yeah.
Yep.
This one's cool. They've, like that clause, they've been adding to things like enters tapped unless whatever. This one is almost certainly going in your presumably Titania deck because you're wanting to meld it, or some other green commander deck where you probably have a green creature.
Bear tribal.
Sure. Absolutely, pal.
Activated as a sorcery is
That's right.
not
4 mana too. Yeah.
They've done a lot of that.
It's medium.
Next up, we've got the rest of the Pain Lands. It's Battlefield Forge. We're going to throw up on screen here. It's add red or white. Battlefield Forge deals 1 damage to you. The whole cycle's been printed between last set and this set, so if you're looking for these, pick them up now. They're as cheap as they got, and I think the art looks great. So
Yeah.
these are-
Randomly, I think they printed 6 in the last
6
one and
and
4 in this one
Yeah.
instead of 5 and 5.
Yeah, the
but
last set they had all had borderless ones look amazing, but now all the Brothers War ones are all like these desecrated landscapes that are just sad.
But yeah, folks, if you're new to Commander, these are the type of cards that you really want to be picking up to just have around, because
Oh, yeah.
eventually you're going to want a deck. And these are the type of dual lands, that is a land that can tap for 2 different colors that doesn't come into play tapped,
Which is huge.
that a lot of people want to play. So if you can, if you've got the extra money, just pick up one of each right now. That's a good call.
So cheap.
And frankly, if you want to save a little bit of money, you can go to face-to-facegames.com and use code SPIKEFEEDERS to save 5% on them. That's a really good deal.
Go here.
Head
Yeah.
go there. Yeah, it's good stuff. These are good reprints. I like that they've been more aggressive about reprinting the quote-unquote reasonable dual lands recently.
Yeah, these ones are insane.
Next up, let's talk about Blast Zone. Blast Zone reprint enters the battlefield with a charge counter on it. Tap to add colorless, XX tap it, put X charge counters on Blast Zone. 3, tap it, sacrifice it. Destroy each non-land permanent with mana value equal to the number of charge counters on Blast Zone. I think this is great. Good reprint for this set.
Yeah. Again, colorless decks needs ways to deal with permanents.
Yep.
This is an expensive way to do
Yes.
it, obviously, but that's better than nothing. And you can use Power Stones to do the tap to put charge counters on this thing.
Side note, I hate lands out of counters on them.
You would.
I hate it. It's infuriating.
Wow, you don't like my boy Pete? Peter Bog?
Although I'm a big remote farm
Oh
fan.
my gosh. Let's move on to Fortified Beachhead. As it enters the battlefield, you may reveal a soldier card from your hand. Fortified Beachhead enters the battlefield tapped unless you reveal a soldier card this way, or you control a soldier. You can add white or blue, pay 5, and tap it. Soldiers you control get +1/+1 until end of turn. Another why is it blue soldier tribal card, but yeah sure, why not?
But again, like blue-white soldier deck, this is a card in it.
Yep, it sure do be a card. And so, yeah, it's there. Next up, we got Hall of Tagson. It's a land that says add colorless, pay 1 and tap it to add 1 mana of any color. That's pretty good. Pay 4 and tap it to create a tapped Power Stone token.
This one's neat because that 1 tap ability, usually on like absolutely unplayable garbage lands like Shimmering Grotto and whatever, You can use a Power Stone to turn it into a mana of any color that can be used for non-artifact spells.
I'm really curious to make this card a rare. I'm very curious how much they fiddled with this number.
Right, like 4.
I get this permanent. That's kind of whatever. But like, what is that worth? And like you said, you can activate it. So that's.
Yeah, I honestly think this probably started off life as add colorless, 1, add mana of any color, and probably 2, create a Power Stone token, and probably got improved as they tested it.
Yeah, I'm really curious how they got the rare and settled at 4.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the rare specifically was probably through limited testing. We've got a Mishra's Foundry reprint. It's pretty good.
Nope.
No.
This is a new one.
Oh, is this new?
Factory.
Yeah.
Oh,
Just kind of similar.
Yeah.
I'm an idiot.
It's
I
a new
apologize.
one.
Mishra's Foundry, tap to add colorless, pay 2. Mishra's Foundry becomes a 2/2 assembly worker artifact creature until end of turn. It's still a land. Pay 1 and tap. Target attacking assembly worker gets +2/+2 until end of turn. There were a few assembly workers in the set.
Well, and we can put them like side by side. It's I guess fixed Mishra's Factory.
Can't block with 3/3.
Right, can't tap to buff itself like Factory can, but they play nicely with each other and whatever, right? So
Nothing wrong with that.
yeah.
And so we do have a few more things to get through here, but I really want to say, I think more than anything else, I really appreciate how much time and effort has gone into making this set look like Magic. Because I know one thing a lot of people said was that they were concerned that we weren't going to see the Magic version of mechs. We weren't going to see the Magic version of, cannons or whatever else. And I don't know about y'all, but I think they've really captured that spirit.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
no,
this set's a
the set design, like the art direction, everything's very, very good. It's very on point.
knocked it out of the park.
Well, now here's another Jesper Epsing, and I like it too. It's Rescue Retriever. It's 3 white for a dog soldier. It's got flash. It's a 3/3. When the good boy enters the battlefield, you put a 1/1 counter on each other soldier you control, and you prevent all damage that would be dealt to other attacking soldiers you control. That right there is combat trick.
Oh yeah, that's gonna kill people.
Oh yeah, gonna kill you right dead.
The fact that it's a counter too is huge. Just like
Yeah.
turn, it's very, very good. Great art, everything about it. Yeah.
Yeah, 10 out of 10. Nice dog.
Yeah.
No notes.
No notes whatsoever. Next up, Geology Enthusiast. 3 blue for a human artificer, 2/5. At the beginning of your end step, create a stone token. A tapped Power Stone token. 6, draw a card and put a 1/1 counter on Geology Enthusiast. That's direct value right there.
Yeah, again, they've been slapping what we perceive as expensive colorless abilities on these things that care about these Power Stones. Like we were saying, like I think it's interesting that they landed on this being a rare and that ability costing 6, but I trust them probably. Blue Power Stone deck probably want discard. Probably draw some cards.
Probably draw a lot of cards.
Yeah.
You put it in the one with Portal to Phyrexia. There you go.
There you go.
Next up, Terror Ballista. 7 mana for an artifact creature construct, 5/3 menace. Whenever it attacks, you may sacrifice another creature. When you do, destroy target creature an opponent controls. Unearth for 3 black. You want to get loaded into the Terror Ballista?
I do love the name Terror Ballista. Like some of the names in this set are nice. They evoke, that like big menacing thing. Like I would name this thing a Terror
I like
Ballista.
the idea of shoving a guy in this crossbow in his back and shooting it at another guy.
Get in the crossbow, Steve.
Wow. Sorry, Steve. But yeah, no, I think this is great, especially with the Unearth there. It just allows you to get in for so much value over and over, and you can just throw a soldier in it. Like, come on.
I'm sad that it's not like another creature or artifact. Like imagine just loading Power Stones into this thing or whatever,
probably
right? Like maybe too good.
I would say way too good. If you
It's a 7 mana card though.
but it's an artifact. That means it's probably actually like 4.
Right.
Like that's the thing that I've been looking at with a lot of these artifact spells. They like seem to start at 6, which tells me that they're actually probably coming out at like turn 2, 3, 5.
Yeah.
So
Fair enough.
anyway, let's talk about Artificer's Dragon. 6 mana for an artifact creature dragon. It's got flying. It's 4/4. Pay red. Artifact creatures you control get +1/+0 until end of turn with Unearth for 3 red. Whew. That's a good lord.
Sure.
Yeah.
Artifact creature fire breathing is interesting.
I'm glad that isn't pay 1 colorless, because if that was pay 1 colorless, that's just going to kill people.
It's also not in the Urza colors.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's in the Mishra colors, I guess.
Play into red, yeah.
Yeah. Weird. So I think that's interesting. I enjoy that it has Unearth, because that you can use Mishra's Unearth to get it out for 1 black-red instead. So it's going to be interesting. Let's talk about Woodcolor Automaton. 10 mana for an artifact creature construct. That's 8/8. When it enters the battlefield, if you cast it, untap target land you control. It becomes a tree folk creature with haste and base power and toughness equal to wood color automatons power and toughness. It's still a land. Or you can prototype it for 2 green.
As a 3/3.
As a 3/3.
So yeah, it's 4 mana, make
6 power?
6 power, or 10 mana, make 16.
Yep. That was pretty good.
The scale is nicer on this one. I think it could have been 8, probably.
Yeah.
Again, or less.
Again, an artifact creature getting cast with Power Stone tokens. Yeah.
It doesn't have haste.
Yeah.
It doesn't give the land haste.
Yes, it does.
Oh, it does give the land
haste.
haste. Sorry.
Haste.
Yeah, sorry. It doesn't have haste. What I meant was it doesn't have trample. It doesn't give the
right.
land trample.
Yeah.
It does give the land haste, so if you're playing this as a 10 mana 8/8, you are, in theory, attacking with your 8/8 land.
What's up threats?
Yeah.
It's very not abusable.
Yeah.
And
And
it-
can retail for this.
It is, once again, it's got if you cast it stapled to it, right?
Like,
So,
you like to say much.
right, you're not flickering it, making all of your lands 8/8s or whatever, but
I think one thing I really would like to see, because especially in this text right here, imagine replacing it becomes a tree folk creature with haste and size equal to wood color automaton size. It's still a land.
oh yeah.
I think that's perfectly
better.
grokkable. I first off, love the set. How do you guys feel about the set?
I'm excited for it.
I like it a lot. We talked about it a little bit at the end there, but I'm really, really curious where some of the mana cost abilities of these artifacts land if it's not in a set with Power Stones. Remove Power Stones, how do these cards look?
Yeah, that is interesting. I do think that there might be some parasitism there. I think you're right about that.
Definitely.
But on the other hand, a lot of the stuff that makes Power Stones also cares about Power Stones, if that makes sense.
Like the blue creature.
Like the blue creature, exactly. So maybe it's okay. I do think as we get 2 years out, we can take a look back and see that.
It is like stapled to a lot of stuff that we have kind of been brushing off or whatever, right? Like a lot of the commands say like make a Power Stone or whatever, right? Or a lot of the things just say make a Power Stone stapled to them, and we've, again, maybe not like seeing the whole thing in scope for us necessarily, but we'll see how it plays out.
Well, and they've shown a willingness to use them in previous sets. So if they keep using them, because honestly, I do kind of like the way they play, at least from what I've seen of them. I don't know if I'm that worried about it, but if they go the way of like, say, Energy did, where it was just sort of a one and done,
Yeah.
maybe not as good. Okay, favorite card, Elliot.
Ooh, I'm gonna go with Titania's Command, I think.
Okay.
I think that's the non-legend that I'm most excited about. It's either that or the stupid Unearthed Crucible. So it's like one of these big dumb green cards, which I'm not usually like known for.
Yeah.
I feel like, but
The big dumb green card being Perennial Behemoth, right?
yes, yeah.
That's not even that big in this set.
Yeah.
You might even be considered small.
7. Its butt is 7.
It's got a huge butt.
I don't know.
It's double cheeked up.
Makes it thick.
Yeah. Oh, he do.
How many C's?
7. Aaron, what's your favorite card?
The Friction Portal.
Phyrexia. Oh yeah, Portal
yeah.
Phyrexia. That's just
Friction, not close.
just good. Absolutely just good. Obviously, I'm just a gigantic fan, as we said at the top of the show, of In the Trenches. However, I'm going to go ahead and say that I actually think, in terms of like flavorful story moments, Over the Top is definitely the kind of card that I want to see someone else at a table that I'm not playing at cast, so I can watch it.
Sure, white card, red card, I'm not surprised.
Hey, how dare you? But second of all, if you want to pick up some white and red cards and any other color cards you want to get, once again, you can go to face2facegames.com. They sponsor us. They're really great to us. You can use code SPIKEFEEDERS at checkout to save 5% off your card. That's right, you can save money on Magic cards. How often does that happen? It's almost never a thing. Any case, if you want to support this show more directly, you want to see more of this content, you want to have us bring on more guests and do more things for your entertainment, you can also head over to patreon.com/thespikefeeders. For as little as $1 a month, you get all the benefits of joining our Discord, seeing the private channels, seeing gameplay ahead of time, and you get to talk to some of the best people in the MTG community. You think we're cool? All of the coolest people that we know hang out on our Discord. So if you want to join those folks, check that out. In the meantime, Elliot, you got anything else to say?
Like,
Comment.
Subscribe.
Thanks, Aaron. Aaron, you got anything else before we get going?
don't.
All right. Folks, thanks so much for watching. We'll catch you next time.